Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV. If you're just joining in, you're welcome. This is Good Morning, Uganda. If you started the show with us, thank you very much for waking up to us and making sure that, you give us your attention. We do not take that for granted. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. Now, this morning, we are looking at matters road safety. This week is the UN Road Safety Awareness Week. Started on the 16th of November, ends on the 22nd, which will be a Saturday. And if you can remember, here in Uganda, on the 15th of November was the Joe Walker Remembrance Relay Walk, as the memories of those who have lost their lives were being remembered, as well as standing in solidarity with their families, advocating for safe roads, and that is to save lives. Now, this morning is one for advocating for safe eyes, just so we can save lives, and that is rectifying visual issues, that is to emphasize road safety and, of course, prevention of road accidents. That's why we do have La Paix in studio this morning with Lynette Mary Muhirwa, an eye specialist. Now, to give this conversation a meat, to give this conversation beef as it starts, let's look at some of the statistics that we have as of 2024. Total crashes recorded were 25,107 crashes. That's about an increase of 6.4% from 2023. And total casualties were 25,808. That's about 4.4% from the previous year. Now, fatal crashes recorded were 4,434 fatal crashes, a 6.1 increase from the previous year, and fatalities recorded were 5,144 deaths recorded. That's about a 7% increase from the previous year. Serious injuries recorded were 17,013, and that was about a slight increase of 1.7%, and minor injuries recorded were 3,651, a 14.6% increase. Now, let's dig into this conversation. Good morning, Lynette.
Good morning.
A pleasure having you this morning again.
I'm also very honored to actually be here.
All right.
Yeah.
And when it comes to eyesight and activities around eyesight,
yes,
share some of the key facts that come with eyesight.
So, first of all, good morning. It's good to have you here as we're celebrating road safety time. It's very important for first people to realize that 90% of everything that the brain interprets comes from the eyes. It's by the eyes. It's rare, especially for drivers, to be feeling, I can feel the road or what. So it's very important for your eyesight to be in check. And that's why we have actually come here to communicate that on this occasion. Mm-hmm. So what was the question previously?
What are the key facts that you have around eyesight?
Okay. So the first thing is that if you don't take care of your eyesight, most of the road accidents, except the other human errors that happen, most of them are because of the eyesight issues. And then we have quite a number of things to talk about. The first thing I would really want to say is that when you don't see things quite well, if you have a problem with your vision, one, you're putting the people that you're driving at a risk. Two, you're most likely going to misjudge distances, people that are in front. So it's quite a wholesome thing when we come to talk about the eyesight with road safety. Right.
Now, some of the primary causes of road accidents that we do have really are careless driving and speeding and careless overtaking, which, by the way, accounts for 44.5% of all accidents. Now, if you ask me, that's huge. That's quite the number. But also poor vehicle conditions, DMCs on the roads, and human error, which is a significant factor contributing to these accidents. Now, the question I do have for you is what risks come with having poor eyesight in general? Give us a detail of the risks that come with that.
So what you risk by having poor eyesight? The first one thing is that you may be hard for you to recognize signposts from ahead. So, for example, the country and the URA, we're trying to put a lot of signposts to maybe indicate to you that there is danger. So if someone, let's say, has short-sightedness, they may not recognize what's in front. So that's one thing. Number two, they may misjudge the distances, especially for people with refractive errors. They may misjudge the distances as with people, like as you're driving, misjudge the distance with the next driver. That means you're going to most likely have a crash or an accident there. Number two, we have some people not seeing the pedestrians, especially during at night. We have many people come in and say, when I'm driving at night, some people are not very, I can't recognize them as we are driving. So that's also another thing. Not leaving, how most drivers tend to forget or not recognize things that are close. That's also another condition we will talk about in more details of long-sightedness. So they may not recognize things that are a little bit up close.
Right.
Yes.
Now let's look at the fact of rest and eyesight. How are these two connected when it comes to being on the road and realizing danger or anything that could go wrong on the road?
According to research, the reaction time of a rested driver is 1 second. So it will just take them 1 second for them to relax, for their eyes relax, and then focus on the road. But for a tired driver, it takes 2 to 3 seconds. So you can imagine so much is happening in that time when you're not. So that's sometimes we have very fatigued drivers, especially those who are doing long distances, may tend to sleep off on the road, and that means you're going to not see something or cause an accident just because of that negligence. So it is very important for your eye health and also minding your sleep time as a person, because if you don't sleep early, that means your reaction time to as you're driving is going to be more longer than the one who has rested. In
other words, your cognitive process is slower when you do not sleep.
Yes, and most of them, because of the eye fatigue, the first things that happen is they tend to call it doze off or sleep off slightly, and in that moment anything can happen. Actually, one of the major causes that brought in by people who move up country, mostly rally drivers, truck drivers, is mostly because of that. Most of them are driving when they're actually very tired. So that's very important as a person that you rest, because it helps with your eyes, which is mostly doing the work in the time of driving.
Right. Usually when you hear such stories, it's when the statements such as surely it's only God that protects us come into play.
Yes.
But it's also, I think, very important that awareness is made. It's one thing for us to always have these statements made that, you know, it's only God that protects us. Clearly, it's only God that protects us every day, which is very true, very undeniable. But if the awareness is at the back of our minds, perhaps it also helps take measures that would prevent the worst from happening.
So now there are factors. Yes, God does protect people, but there are also other eye conditions that actually need to clarify to people. For example, we have conditions that would result into your eyes being with a poor health, which will affect definitely your driving state. The first things that cause that, we have what we call conditions like high blood pressure and diabetes, and that's why one of those things can cause your eye defects, and also you may have hard time recognizing things. Another thing, we have hereditary issues.
Right.
Some people are born with some hereditary issues, which I'm going to talk about more in details. Another thing, we have lifestyle. We have people who drink a lot, maybe not allowed to drive when you're drunk. We have people that don't sleep, like they lack sleep. So that's also another thing we need to look at. Yes, and also we have what we call other conditions of the refraction problem. Normally now, that's where we as LAPEA have come to talk in details. We have what we call myopia, that's short-sightedness. So if someone has myopia and they're driving, most likely they may have hard time recognizing things from a distance. So that means it has put them at a risk, especially for drivers, is that you can't see some signposts, some even to the extent they may not recognize some people on the road. That's also very high-end risk. Two, we have what we call hyperopia. Normally, those are people who have a hard time recognizing things that are close. recognizing small objects that are near them. So that means they're at a risk if they are driving in a closer range. Most likely, most accidents that happen from a closer range, most times, most conditions are that, hyperopia. 2, we have what we call astigmatism. Astigmatism, the difference is that the image is distorted. You could see the image, but it may not appear as it should be. Most drivers, most of them will tell you, when I see someone from afar, I could recognize this is a lady, but I can't tell who they are. That's most times people with astigmatism. So it's also another big risk factor in people who are driving. We have also what we call night blindness. People take it lightly. Right. Yes. So now you may find that during day you have no problem. You can actually see everything quite well. But when the night time comes, things are not clear, especially human beings, because human beings don't come with reflectors and all that. So it may be a little bit hard for you to recognize human beings. So those are one of the conditions that actually have affected the eyes, and definitely is going to affect your driving during the day. Right. We are looking at rectifying visual issues and advocating for road safety at that, whilst your visuals are rectified. Do you have a question? Do you have an opinion? Do you have an experience? 0709602592. In studio with me is Lynette Mary Muhira, who is an eye specialist from Lapare, Uganda. Now let's look at some of the simple solutions that come with Lapare in regards to all of these visual problems and defects. Okay, so the first thing, we do free eye tests. Any Lapare shop, just walk in and come and have a free eye test. The second thing we do, we offer good quality and affordable glasses starting from the range of 105. So 105, you can get yourself a pair of glasses. Number 3 of the things, maybe I'll have to talk about prevention mechanisms. As we had spoken about one of the conditions that bring eye problems, the first one, as I'd explained, is fatigue, eye fatigue. As drivers, you should not neglect your time of sleep. I know sometimes you would want to go a little bit early and push some time, but you need to sleep early, because once your eyes are fatigued, as we had spoken, your reaction time of a tired driver is 2 to 3 seconds, so it will take longer. Number 3, mostly that we do, yes, do eye checkups and find out how are your eyes right now. For those who are already wearing glasses, go for regular checkups, at least to keep updating the lenses, because sometimes you could wear lenses that are worn off and may not be helping you. Number 3, we have what we call dieting and the foods that you eat. Most times people who have what we call night blindness, its major factor is the lack of vitamin A in your body. And that means you need to feed with foods of vitamin A, because if you don't, then you're going to have what we call night blindness, yet your vision is okay. Yes. And then as Lapare, we offer payments in installments. You may come into the shop and then maybe you're not ready to pay full amount, but there are programs. We can start with 30%, 50%, so that you're able to access the glasses. Also, we have 90 branches currently in the country. We have every branch close to every region right now in the country. So you pass by and go do an eye test. Right. Not forgetting, we have actually insurance. Some insurance is covered up. So maybe my company has insurance, you could still walk into the shop and do a first eye test. And another thing, our customer care, not to brag, is actually very good. Yes. Please come in, because sometimes you may go to some facilities or hospitals and it's very hard for you to explain your problem. We have people who have problems with glares. When I'm driving at night, it's hard for me to recognize the light. So it's a little bit disturbing. So when you explain to some people, they may not see it as an issue. When you come to Lapare, we have great people that are going to work, specialized people that are going to work on you, test you and actually work on you. Indeed, that's very true. And I do speak as someone who has experienced Lapare's eye check. They are really so detailed at asking you questions. They really care. They're over and above. Now, from Netherlands, Brooklyn Leo Brazen says truck drivers and bus drivers are mostly in Uganda the main causes of road accidents due to forcefully overtaking on wrong sides. How often do you check them and evaluate them? And I think this would speak into locations as well as how best is Lapare
emphasizing or preaching this gospel to truck drivers and finding them at the routes that they drive the most to just invite them in for eye checks or advice on their routes? Yes.
Okay, so the first thing to do is we're doing creating awareness. Like on this day, we've not left it to just the roadside. We realize it's also part of us as the health facility. That if your eyesight is not well, that means you're going to most likely affect others on the roadside. So now, for as what Lapea we're doing free eye tests for everyone. It's just you have to notify such people and say, hello, would you come in? And all our branches, we actually do. We go out to communities to create awareness to them. Yes. So that's majorly what we're doing as Lapea, going to create awareness and doing free eye tests for everyone.
All right. Lapea bringing eye care right under your nose, the best way possible and accessible for everyone. You did talk about hereditary issues as one of the causes of these visual problems. Throw more light into it.
Okay. So mostly like for the refraction problems, like short-sightedness, for some people it may not be an environment factor that brought that. For some people it's a heritage it's a factor that comes in from your family. For example, that's why we do history checking. If we realize that your family, most of your family members are wearing glasses, please, I would recommend go do an eye test, because most likely the defect they have, you could still have that defect too. So it is very important for in your family, you just recognize certain things. Also, number two, conditions that's spoken about like diabetes and hypertension. Sometimes you may be like, oh, my mom is old, so maybe because it has come because of age, and you don't realize it could be a thing within the family. So such things come and you may not notice. Yes, because they are from within the family. Just not traits and patterns of certain conditions in your family, and just double check to be sure that you're on the safe side.
Right. So it's not just with eye issues, but even some diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure. If you notice a trend in your family, it's about the time you took care and actually even checked, followed up with your eyesight. Very profound at that. We're looking at rectifying visual issues, and that is advocating for road safety. If your visuals are rectified, then you are reducing on the statistics that are recorded annually. You do not want to be a statistic that caused that accident, or you do not want to be a statistic of a victim in that accident. It's sad that a loved one becomes a statistic. It's really, really sad. On that note, Lynette, what are your parting shots? Still, first of all, talk to the people and say, if you have an opportunity to do a test, please do a test. At least it's easier it's easier for us to recommend and advise you better on something that we have done a test on. And as we had said, all Lapea glasses are doing free eye tests. Yes, so please walk in and do a test. Number two, if you realize and notice something is off, don't wait until it's worse or until you have near-death experience. Once you realize that when maybe you're driving at night and someone brings a heavy headlight and you're finding it to recognize things, please go do that test. At least it's easier for us to advise or treat things a little bit earlier than when they have reached the worst conditions or when you've already caused an accident or something like that. Number three, I would still not disregard behavior management. Sleep early. It's very important with your diet, what you're taking in, because it can affect your eyesight. And also get protection glasses, because we have conditions like high ultraviolet lights can affect how your eyesight is. Two, we have extreme blue lights, especially people who spend a lot of time on phone, computers and screens. You may reach a point when your eyes are very responsive to any light. So as a driver, it may affect your driving skills in that sense. So otherwise, just come to any Lapea branch and do a free eye test. Right. As we begin to close this conversation, somebody comes through and says, good morning, Julie, and our guest from Lapea. I thank them for being hospitable. Regardless whether you have the money or not, they are really hospitable. I've ever visited their branch in Machindi. Now, my question to her is, what's the best remedy for genetic allergies? This is Cricket Derek Gargamel.
Okay. For generic allergies, so we have two things. First of all, you need to recognize what brings the allergies. There are three major triggers of allergies. The first one would be wind. So you need to recognize that most times very early in the morning or very late in the evening, your eyes are always itchy. Two, we have what we call dust. So most times if you're walking or in your border or you're in a very dusty environment, your eyes tend to itch very fast. So that's also something you need to recognize. Number three, we have light. Normally, natural lights, that's sunlight, ultraviolet lights. Two, or we may have artificial lights, that's phone, computers, and screens. So yes, that's the first thing. First thing you need to do is recognize what triggers your allergies, because at least it's better for you to avoid or prevent. Number three is you could get protection glasses. For example, sometimes it's a little bit impractical for me to say avoid dust, avoid wind, avoid sunshine. It doesn't make sense really, especially for the place we are in. So you could get protection glasses. At least you know that your eyes are fully protected in that sense. And if it keeps persisting, we have some eye drops that could bring some relief in that kind of sense. So those are the major ways. Recognize, get protection glasses, and also get eye drops in case of symptoms persisting.
All right. Good morning, Uganda. Let some road traffic signs have lights in them. Well, indeed, as those who are responsible for the road furniture are playing their part, and as we're advocating for them to play their part, it's important that whilst they are on their way, they find you already playing your part. Rectify your visual issue and emphasize road safety at that. That's been it. Make sure that you walk into any repair shop and have your eyes tested for free. For free. You do not need any coin to have your eyes tested. And thereafter, you'll know the issue. If you have an issue, thereafter, you can know what solutions are available still from repair, making sure that everyone has access to healthy eyes. Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for watching the show. Up next is JMU Tourism Express. We do have business, we do have the agenda, we do have sports, still a lot in store for you. So good morning. Stay tuned.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda. Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks, Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product. For more information, visit our website www.hgo.com or call 0800 335555.
live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister, we welcome you. Thank you for making it to the 10th edition, the launch of the 10th edition of the Pearl of Africa Tourism Exhibition. Ladies and gentlemen, and of course, members of the Fourth Estate, allow me to stand on the protocol that Ida shared earlier, in case I missed any, because mine is really to summarize why we're here today. So first of all, thank you for making it. Thank you for being patient with us. We did have a bit of a late start, but I think Francis held it together with a very interesting panel discussion from private sector players, speaking together with Uganda Airlines on the same stage with Uganda Wildlife Authority, which is essentially the foundation or the basis of what this year's Powate is about. It is about private-public partnership. It is about us working together, pooling resources so that we have the world's best tourism exhibition ever. So we are not competing on Africa levels, members. For those who think we are competing with the regional tourism expos, no. We are going for WTM levels. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. I'm also going to talk just maybe 3 key distinguishing factors between this year's 10th edition and all the others we've done. My team knows that I stand on maybe 2 or 3 sayings and I keep repeating them. It sounds like a broken record. I believe that the definition of madness is doing things the same way, the same how, expecting different what? Results. Personally, I'm not mad. At least I've not been certified. There are those who call me mad, yes, I know. But no one has written it on a paper. So assuming we are all sane and able-bodied human beings, we cannot do things the same way we've been doing them, expecting we are going to attract more footfall to this destination. And so we're changing things up this year. We're doing primarily 3 things. Let me start by saying, who thinks or who feels things are not yet changing in tourism? Who feels it's the same as the years before, Obote, Idi Amin? Who feels it's the same? Is it only me who is seeing that tourism is topical right now? That there is a different kind of attention and intent in this sector? Who? Is it just me? Can I ask a question about what is making you feel proud about our destination more recently? I'll go first. We won an award in Switzerland recently. I think people saw it. Clap for yourselves, it's all of us. May I clap for myself daily? Last week we won in, was it Riyadh, where we were represented by the Ministry of Tourism. We came number 3 after Peru, Ecuador, as a best adventure destination in the world. 190 countries plus, and we are number 3. Think about it. We are getting the right kind of traction. What else is making us proud? Me, I have a long list here, so I'll just, maybe somebody from the private sector. What is exciting us about tourism right now? There's the investment. Investment last year grew 250%. We were given 250% more money than we've ever spent on tourism in this country. What else? Okay, you people of UTB, what else is making you proud? Aha, thank you, James. I was waiting, it was here. London, Abuja, Lagos, Mumbai, Johannesburg. Can I go on? Cape Town. But now, Sandra, you're talking after I asked you, you were quiet. Nothing is making you proud. This year, we reintroduced Kampala City Council Festival. Women in tourism, what is exciting you?
What was exciting me is the airport.
The airport.
Yeah, we've switched it up.
Yes.
When you walk
Yes. Change. Thank you very much. Feedback. People, are you hearing? Things are changing, things are moving. We are no longer accepting to do things the same way, expecting different results. That one is of the past. So the first thing that we're changing this year is we're introducing a theme called Wanderlust. Honorable Minister, while you are away, we did a bit of English homework here. As usual, people were scared. Big English word, wanderlust, wanderlust. It's very simple. Wanderlust is about having a true desire to explore, to unpack, to adventure, to traverse. And that is what we're inviting the world to do in Uganda. And we believe we have the right to do so. This year at Powate, together with the private sector, we are going to demonstrate to the world that Uganda is more than just wild animals. We are more than just landscape and terrain and what have you. We are about culture, we are about heritage, we are about provenance, we're about people, we're about food. We're about a 360-degree experience that they cannot get anywhere else in the world. That is what Wanderlust basically embodies, if anybody asks you. It is about embedding, immersing ourselves in all things Ugandan. And that's what we want to do with Powate this year. It's not enough for us to demonstrate to the world that we're the best looking. And that's the thing with a lot of the expos and exhibitions. It's essentially a beauty pageant. You get there, who shows off better, who has better dancers, better music. We are moving away from beauty pageant times. This year, and this one is for the private sector, if you hear nothing else from me, this year we are going to Powate to do commerce. We are going to sell. We are going to sell this country. We are going to sell packages. We are going to sell experiences. We are going to immerse buyers, hosted buyers and other visitors in Uganda. But we are going to monetize it. We will not leave the 10th version of Powate without money. I've refused. We are living with money. We are living with reservations, bookings, selling every single part of the experience of Uganda at Powate. So that is the mindset. That is the biggest one. Wanderlust and commerce. That's the second thing we're changing this year. We're not coming to just unpack, showcase. Last year, I think we did really well in terms of demonstrating what kind of adventures and you know, exploration activities we have. There were even boats. If I remember correctly, somebody came with a canoe. Bring the canoes, but also bring the booking, ticketing machine. Bring POS machines. Let people leave money there at Munyonyo. That is the approach we're taking this year. Wanderlust is underpinned by commerce. We've got to book. We've got to make those reservations. We cannot spend that week and that money in Munyonyo and not come away with the right kind of commerce. So again, this year, that what we're changing and why we're here as early as we are, is we want to get the right people in the room. We've already started courting different destinations. We want their top tier buyers with us next year, and we need to book them early. Honorable Minister, this is actually a launch after the launch, because a month ago we met with the committee heads of the NOC. The organizing committee for Powate has already started. We need to approach our hosted buyers in a timely manner. These are busy people. They're one of the most sought after species. So if we go late, we'll get bottom tier members. We need to get top ranking hosted buyers in Uganda next May. So that is why we're starting this early. Apart from getting the right buyers in the room, we also want the right professionals, the right engagements. If we're going to speak AI, if we're going to speak global trends, if we want to understand what the UN's plan is as far as tourism goes, and I was having this conversation with Deo yesterday, We are quoting some of the highest professional, most respected tourism professionals in the world. They will join us here in May, but they can only join us if we approach them in a timely manner. We cannot go in June, what's the month before May? February, expecting, again, doing things the same way, expecting different results. So we have already written to them. Those who we are quoting already are in the know. This process here is for the fourth estate to know that we are live, otherwise work has started in the kitchen. So the third and last thing I'll speak to, and we're really excited about this one, our partners at Munyonyo have given us, I think, a couple of groundbreaking concessions that are definitely going to impact the way we've been delivering Poate. So, exciting news. We've got 2 extra days from Munyonyo, uncharged, which means we can set up a day earlier and we can stay a day later. We have negotiated, they have accepted. Munyonyo has also, I think for the first time in history, allowed for us to have a food exhibition. So on the last day, Munyonyo will open their gates to accept exhibitors of a culinary experience. Of course, it won't be everyone, please. It won't be any Tom, Dick, and Harry. We need to get the best Rolex makers in the house. If you're making Kabalagala, we need to see your Kabalagala certificate. You need to be UNBS certified. Yes. If you're going to do Nsenene, we need to start testing your Nsenene this season. Yeah, we are already in the season. If you are coming to...
Brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Good morning once again. You are watching UBC and this is Good Morning Uganda, the business section. Welcome back from Tourism Express, and it is proudly sponsored by Uganda Tourism Board. By the way, today the 7 wonders of Kampala, as voted by you, the viewers and the public, will be officially unveiled at Sheraton Hotel today at around 9, and that is where the major function is going to take place. And we are expecting Hajat Misa Kabanda, Minister for Kampala, capital city, to be the chief unveiler. So congratulations, Uganda, on this massive launch. So it is time for our corporate news, and beginning off with the industrial sector. Uganda is to launch its 4th Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative report for the period covering fiscal year 2022-2023. And in a one-on-one interview with our reporter, Dennis Segowa, the Deputy Executive Director, ACOD, Onesmus Mujenyi, noted that the EITI report marks another milestone in the country's efforts to strengthen accountability, transparency, and good governance in the extractive sector. We have an extract from the interview. Let's take a look.
EITI. When we talk about EITI, those initials, what does it really mean?
EITI is an initiative, a voluntary initiative, where countries agreed that they can make the extractive sector transparent and accountable for the benefit of the environment and the people. And Uganda became a member of this club of countries in 2020. That is a club of extractive industries transparency initiative.
So talking about, of course, a report that will be launched today, yeah, and how important is it to Uganda as a country and generally to our economic aspirations? We have the tenfold program. Government thinks as plans of we have plans of growing our economy tenfold, and extractive industries actually has been mentioned among the critical industries. So how relevant is this report that you're going to be unveiling, and how unique is it if you're to compare with the previous reports that you've released?
Yeah, since 2020, when Uganda became a member of this initiative, 3 reports have been produced, published, and disseminated. Today, we are going to be launching the 4th report. And this report basically gives the status of the industry. It provides information regarding what companies have been able to pay government, and the reconciliation is done. So the report shows what the companies have been able to pay and what the what the government has received. That is in terms of revenues. But it goes beyond the revenues. It looks at issues of gender. It looks at issues of revenue sharing, because local governments are supposed to get, for example, to get royalties from the minerals. So it is able to show whether these local governments have been receiving what they're entitled to. It also looks at issues of environment, how the environment is taken care of. And recently, the standard or the principles were expanded to look at energy transition as well. How are the countries moving forward into energy transition? In other words, reducing emissions that come from these extractives.
Okay, lastly, EITI is about governance, right? So from your own perspective, I know you've been a player in this industry for quite some time. How do we fare in terms of governance, generally in the entire mineral industry?
There is improvement in terms of, for example, developing the policies, developing the legislation, and developing the regulations. For example, in the mining sector, you know that in 2022, we came up with the Mining and Minerals Act, which is very progressive.
Yes.
And since then, regulations have been put in place. I think there is a set of 7 regulations that are supposed to be in place. And as we speak, we have about 3 to 4 regulations already in place. So in terms of legislation, we are doing a very good job. But in terms of implementing the legislation, the regulation that we put in place, there is still a very big challenge. And as you know, the mining department, the geological surveys and mines department, is still very, very and it is underfunded, and you don't have enough inspectors to do the inspection of the mines, to enforce the regulations. So we still have a challenge in terms of implementation. But in terms of the development, the legislation, and the regulations, we are doing quite well.
Your parting shot?
This is a process. All the previous reports have identified the challenges, and recommendations have been made. And I think as long as we have the will to improve and we follow these recommendations, I think the extractive sector will improve. And then we will be able now to generate the necessary revenues to implement the National Development Plan.
Thank you, Council.
Yeah,
it was good having you.
Yeah, most welcome.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, advancing to the finance updates, the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has launched the Women Entrepreneurs Finance Code. a global initiative aimed at unlocking affordable financing for women-led businesses. The code brings Uganda into a global coalition of more than 30 countries, backed by the World Bank and private sector partners. We have the report.
The government of Uganda has underscored the contribution of development partners in shaping dynamic financial and economic policies that have facilitated innovation and growth within the national economy.
Efficient is growing much faster, and you have made a big contribution to that. But also, you have contributed to both the national financial inclusion strategies that we have developed as a country to ensure that our financial products are inclusive.
The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Ramadan Gobi, commended the contribution of financial sector deepening in Uganda towards Uganda's financial policy formulation over the past 10 years.
FSDU has also strengthened evidence-based policy making in Uganda through the Finiscope surveys, as well as the research that have informed national responses, including those we did during COVID-19. Uganda has recovered very well from COVID, partly because of FSDU. You have contributed.
The Governor, Bank of Uganda, Michael Atinch-Igo, highlighted key financial policy milestones, particularly the Microfinance Act of 2023 and the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, which have strengthened Uganda's financial ecosystem.
More informed decisions while expanding credit access to previously underserved segments. And then there's this discussion of the national payment switch, where we have worked very closely with FSDU to establish a national payment switch. We've leveraged on the FSDU's technical support.
The financial sector deepening Uganda announced its focus for the next decade, emphasizing increased support to formal financial institutions to boost SMEs' access and promote affordable financial products.
These strategies are what we've all rallied behind to ensure that financial inclusion, the barriers to financial inclusion are addressed.
Total, when we look at from that investment, from that decision back in 2012, FSDU has expanded access for 1.6 million individuals, nearly half of them women, and improved financial services for 144,000 small enterprises. I think that deserves a round of applause.
The government of Uganda commits to continue working with development partners to advance the digital economy by accelerating financial inclusion, strengthening financial technologies regulations, and
the Minister, the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury, Ramadan Gobi, there commending the development partners in regards to financial inclusion in Uganda. Let's have a look at the forex rates today as they stood on 19th November 2025. The US dollar, as it opened, bought at 3,603.09 and sold at 3,613.09. And by midday, it bought at 3,644.91 and sold at 3,654.91. The US dollar still closed in at 3,635.14 for those who are buying and sold at 3,645.14. The Great British Pound bought at 4,778.75 and sold at 4,791.90. While the Euro bought at 4,212.94 and sold at 4,224.53. From our neighbors, the Kenyan shilling bought at 28.01 and sold at 28.09. The Tanzanian shilling bought at 1.50 and sold at 1.50. And the South African rand bought at 211.73 and sold at 212.31. Yes, and then that was it from the forex rates as they stood. Yes, regards to the Bank of Uganda. And of course, there is a short notice here about Future Stars Sports Camp and Gayaza High School and Gayaza Junior School in partnership with Wakiso District Sports Department and Vision Group will host the Future Stars 10-day multi-sport residential holiday training camp from 7th to 17th December 2025. That is next month. The program aims to identify, develop, and empower learners aged 7 to 17 years from several schools through training in football, basketball, netball, lawn tennis, table tennis, badminton, swimming, chess, and Scrabble, complemented by sessions in career guidance, mental health awareness, first aid and CPR, and safeguarding in sports. The facilitation fee is just 400 shillings, Uganda shillings, covering professional coaching, training equipment, a full camp kit, accommodation, meals, and all program sessions. For more information, or for those of you who would want to be part of it and to register, you should please contact Mr. Paul Nadide, who is the head of games and sports. And the number to contact him on is 0771 760349. I repeat, it is 0771 760349. And the notice comes in from the administration. Thank you for keeping on watching UBC TV. My name is Joan N. Murunji. Coming up is the agenda with Julie. Good morning, Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100*21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning. Eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product. For more information, visit our website www.hgo.com or call 0800 335555.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
Commissioner General, to invest in taxation. When people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo, clearance protects small traders who cannot afford to import full container loads individually and rely on consolidation to remain competitive. Cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned, or what we have stopped, is the use of container leaders. Now, Fiona, the good news I have for you is that among the new tax proposals,
now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Booza Commissioner.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. It's time for the agenda on a rather cold, chilly Thursday morning, but one that indeed we choose to bless the Lord for and get to eat into it as we are inspired here on UBC TV. It's time for the agenda, and this is Good Morning Uganda that you are watching. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. Now, the Electoral Commission continues to review petitions arising from the recent nominations of MP aspirants, and it's what we are looking into. More than 50 petitions were filed across the country, and Paul Bukenya, the Deputy Spokesperson of the Electoral Commission, is here to have that conversation with us. 0709-602-592 is the WhatsApp number that you should engage and be part of this conversation. Good morning, Paul.
Morning, Julie, and glad to be here.
Always a pleasure.
And morning
having you.
to our viewers on UBC this morning.
So let's dig straight into it. Give us an update of the current status of the tribunal. How is it so far?
Well, there's the commission. The Constitution gives the commission, Article 61 of the Constitution gives the commission powers to hear and determine complaints that arise during the electoral process. And I think that's what now, really, that's what gives us now the nature of, the status of a body, a judicial body at that level. So the commission, Article 61 of the Constitution, one of our functions is to hear and determine complaints that arise before and during elections. So following the nomination of candidates, the commission has been attending to issues that have emerged as complaints and even formal petitions. And this is in line with what the law foresaw. At any stage in the electoral process, if someone has an issue that they're not satisfied with, they can raise it as a complaint, and they can even lodge it now as a formal petition. where they can even be represented by, counsel before the commission. That's what we've seen, and it's not strange. It's what we see also through other aspects of the electoral process. Complaints and petitions arise out of the activities we do. Demarcation of electoral areas, when someone raises a complaint, this parish, the way you have put together these two parishes, composed these villages, they raise issues around that. Polling stations, similarly registration, when we're doing an update of the register, there can be objections. Someone can always find an issue. So what I wanted was to build the case that petitions are part of the electoral process, and they can arise out of any of the activities that we do during the electoral process. So what we've seen in the last few days now are those that relate to the nomination of candidates, where certain parties are aggrieved or not satisfied with how the exercise was conducted, or the persons who were nominated, or even the persons who were not nominated, because the grounds are many. So that's what we've been seeing. For purposes of local government councils, we got petitions, and also for parliamentary, but also presidential. There were aspirants who were not successful in their nomination bid, and they said we were not satisfied with how the commission handled the nomination process. I was raising my signatures, and then you stopped the exercise. So that becomes a complaint, a formal petition.
Right.
We've seen that before the commission. So our dear viewers, that's the context, and I think it is good that the law provided for means of expressing dissatisfaction. Now, in this general elections, we are feeling 40,000. We are feeling 45,505 elective positions. 45,505 elective positions. That is from the president to the last councillor at LC, at LC3, the sub-county. So this is the volume of elective positions to be filled. In this general election, we've had, where we've conducted nominations, we've had 597 candidates nominated. 83,597 candidates nominated, from president to councillor.
Right.
Now, out of these, definitely one or two things may be objected to. And that's what we have been seeing over these past few days. We received in the range of 75 petitions at parliamentary level, and about, just to correct what you said earlier, and about 150 at local government level. We had about 3 aspirants for presidential who formally petitioned the commission. And the commission has had all these petitions. It has had all of them. And by that, we mean that the commission has constituted itself as a quasi-judicial body and listened to the petitioner, as well as calling in the respondents, as the case may be. And then the commission has been making the decisions, as you've seen in the recent days. And the decisions could go either way. The petition could be successful. I wasn't nominated, and yet I qualified, I met all the requirements. There was certain factors that we think need to be explained, resulting in my not being nominated. And the commission can make a decision, and has actually made decisions saying that, yes, the decision of the returning officer was okay, it is sustained, we uphold the decision of the returning officer, or it sets it aside and says, no, this person satisfied the requirements, we nominate him now.
Right.
Or it says we set aside the nomination because it did not fulfill requirements. So briefly, maybe that's not brief, it was a bit lengthy, but basically that's what has been going on.
Right.
According to the prayers, the petitioners have been making prayers, and the commission has been determining them in accordance with what is the evidence produced, the provisions of the law, and determining them, either upholding the returning officer's decision not to nominate you, or setting aside the returning officer's decision to nominate you, or even, you know, the commission ordering that you be nominated. So as and when the cases are determined, the petitioners and the co-respondents have been taking on their next steps.
Right.
That's where we are. And petitions, like I said, are part of the electoral process. They continue, but of course we also know that we have to go to the next step, produce ballot papers. And the commission has, as of now, as of yesterday, actually as of Monday, the bulk of all the hearings and the decision making all done, and the decision making process has been going on, and the communication to the parties has been, you know, commission has been communicating to the parties. That's what is happening basically.
Yes.
That's the picture, without going into any specific case. Yes.
That's quite busy, I must say. But so far, with all the complaints that have been handled, what are those most common complaints that you have taken note of out of the many?
Yeah, the grounds for the petitions are many. Someone comes in and says, I was the rightful flag bearer.
Right.
I was the rightful flag bearer. You nominated the wrong person to hold the flag for a certain political party. We had 17 political parties presenting candidates for parliamentary nominations, directly elected members of parliament, out of the 27 political parties we have. And one of the things we've seen in the petitions are petitioners who are saying that I'm actually the one who is the rightful flag bearer. You need to to set aside the nomination, and I get the credentials of this political party. So those are some of one of the areas. Then the other, the suitability of the nominated candidate, they do not fulfill the requirements for nomination. For example, the academic documents fall short of what is required, or they are forgeries, depending, you know, that's how some of the cases have been made. Or the persons who supported the candidature do not satisfy the requirement you set as electoral commission. Because when we are going into nominations, we set guidelines, and the aspirants needed to satisfy these guidelines in order to be nominated. So when we finish nomination of a candidate, satisfied that Julie, you've brought everything as it's supposed to be, we still subject your file to scrutiny. And that's where, because it's also in law, inspection. The documents you submit to us become public.
Yes.
So someone can come and say, no, Julie made the wrong statement. Actually, those are not her names. This is someone else. This is, you know, things like that. And that's what we've seen coming. So if I could talk about the grounds, yes, they are around that. Not a registered voter in this area, or the supporters are not registered in this area, or the academic documents were forged, they fall short, or they are inadequate, or even I'm the rightful flag bearer for this political party. So those are some of the grounds I can talk about which have been presented in the petitions. Yeah.
Right. Some of those that notable really are the ones in Kasambia County, where, you know, Henry Muhumuza complains that the grounds of play, you know, playing the game were quite violent. And I understand it's some of the complaints that he has tabled. As such complaints also handled by the Electoral Commission as to the operations of what happens on ground?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier when we were starting this segment, the grounds are varied. There are many grounds. So Julie, what the law saw and made provision for is that when you are not satisfied with the conduct of the nomination exercise in accordance with our guidelines, because we set guidelines and the guidelines are extracted from the law. So if you feel that a certain requirement was not met or certain conditions did not exist, because there are also persons who have raised petitions that I was blocked to access a nomination venue. And you know, that is that's a ground that someone brings in and says, I have evidence, I moved like this, and then I was blocked. And then they provide their evidence and they say, my prayer to the commission is that I am nominated. Right. And then the commission can now look at it and study. So in the case that you've mentioned, and I really didn't want to go into specific cases other than general, because some of them are still before the commission, and the commission has not finalized the decision and communication to the parties. But yes, since you've mentioned that, yes, right. The moment you feel dissatisfied with an aspect of the processes around the exercise, you can raise a complaint. On nomination day, we had a complaints desk. We handled complaints that were coming in by the hour on the call center. We handled them. So what perhaps is not resolved on that day now is what now is formally lodged as a petition. So it could be any of that, or I was attacked, or my file was grabbed from me by some goons. I don't know, I've reported to police. This is evidence. Well, there could be a wide range of issues. But yeah, one of the moment some factors arise that do not, or rather you fail the process when you are convinced that you satisfy the requirements or something like that, you can then raise them as a petition. And then the commission can hear that. And then it can determine and make a decision depending on the evidence, because it's like court. Evidence, then the mandate of the commission, what's our mandate, then our powers in the law, we make then the decision and communicate to you. And then you take the next step forward.
Right. 0709602592. It's a WhatsApp number that you should engage and be part of the conversation as we look at an update from the Electoral Commission Tribunal. In studio with us is Paul Bukenya, who is the Deputy Spokesperson of the Electoral Commission. And this tribunal is addressing issues really arising from the nomination process of all candidates, right from presidential candidates to local government level. How did they clear candidates for nominations? We saw them busy verifying. What were they verifying? It seems that they are playing politics instead of being impartial. This is Andrew Kaweka who submits his opinion at that. And that brings me to ask, how is the tribunal ensuring transparency and fairness in all of this?
Yeah, the transparency is that when a petition is lodged, you hear it, you bring in both the petitioner as well as the respondent. And I think that's the fairness around it. But we've also, as much as possible, opened it up to the press. You've seen the press. Although the proceedings of the commission are not open to the press, we always take in the press to see that, yes, this is a sitting, and this is the commission, and these are the petitioners, and these are the respondents. And of course, there are always the other interviews that are done outside the tribunal. But the transparency is that you, first of all, you're fair, you communicate to the parties. You don't decide a matter without listening to either parties. So that is the standard, which is a correct judicial standard in the fairness. So basically, they are held in the open,
right?
At least in that environment, like I've described, and then the communication is made to the concerned parties so that the next action can be taken. If we have denominated you, that communication is made that you have been denominated. The denomination has been set aside for the following reasons and in accordance with the law. And as per the evidence that has been presented to the commission, you remain with your right to appeal now to the courts of law. Because our decision can be challenged by courts of law. We are not above the law. But the gentleman also asked that why did we nominate in the first case? And why? What were we verifying? Were we at fault? No. I think we are not at fault, of course, I know for sure. But when we conclude the nomination process, like I've said, the documents become public. And if you look at the grounds that are being presented, for example, academics documents, we have based on documents that have been certified and issued by competent authorities and lawful authorities at that. So if for some reason someone has evidence that actually, yes, you do have an A-level certificate, but actually you did not earn it, you did something along the way, and they produce the evidence, then the case, it becomes a case, it becomes an issue to investigate. So if someone says that yes, but the names, this is a valid certificate, but these names are not your names actually. You just have maybe the same names or the same age or what. There can be so many reasons about that. But also it could be that somehow someone found their way out and managed to get documents. You know, forgeries happen everywhere. So systems always try to prevent fraud. That's why there are anti-fraud systems everywhere globally. On the part of the Electoral Commission, when we finish nominating you basing on the documents you've presented, which are signed, and by the way, when you finish signing off the nomination forms, you even swear an oath. You have the documents commissioned. The information I've provided is true.
Yes.
And you sign and you do everything and you stamp. And the Commissioner for Oath signs. It's a legal document. You've made a declaration. But if someone comes and says, no, those declarations, there's something Paul was not truthful about, then it can be investigated. So what the law did, it says, Electoral Commission, you've used these documents to nominate Mr. Ukenya, but following the nomination, the file is a public document. If there's anyone with any objection, they have a right to raise any objection to the suitability of the candidate. That's why if you've looked at a nomination exercise, you always have 3 copies of your documents. When you present them and they're stamped, the first copy is given back to you. It's your record. The second copy is kept in the office of the returning officer. It's the one that is available for public viewing. The third copy is sent immediately to the Electoral Commission to start preparation of ballot papers and all that. So the one that stays behind, members of the public can come and scrutinize it. They can see something that an authority did not see, a competent authority did not see, and sometimes this can happen. So also someone can come to the Electoral Commission and request lawfully to access a copy of your documents, to certified 2 copies of your nomination documents. That's provided for in the law. So the moment you come to participate in elections, it becomes a public, everything becomes public, and someone can raise the ground. So what we've seen are documents, academic documents that have been challenged, but also supporter lists that have been challenged. And the Commission has afforded all parties a hearing. Someone comes and says, yeah, these are my names and these are my particulars, but I did not consent to the nomination. And they present a case and they make a case. You need to listen to them. It is the lawful thing to do. Now, the rest of if you're not satisfied with how the Electoral Commission has handled it, of course, you can investigate it further. You can appeal to a court of law. And so those are the issues that are before us as a commission. It is not that we did not, vet you, look through your documents, but what if something that looked so real is actually a forgery, which is why they are now placed back. Now that person who grew up with you is the one who says, no, but Julie, no, in 1997, that's when we did PLE. But Julie's documents are saying she did her PLE in 1995. There's a problem. So that's when, people come in and raise things like that. it is a part of the fairness of the process that after the process, we don't close off everything, it remains in public.
Right.
Yep.
And the other point to take note of is the fact that during the proceedings, the press is not allowed in there. Why not?
Yeah, of course, because this is actually, the hearing happens during a commission meeting. So commission meetings are not really open to the they're not public hearings as such to that extent. But what we do for fairness is as we open the sessions, we allow in the press. The press comes in. Press comes in and can capture the introductory remarks, and then the commission proceeds to listen to the sides. That is the way we do commission meetings. They're not open meetings as well. But we've been allowing in press, like I've said, and also allowing in coming down to brief the press, and also allowing the petitioners and complainants to address the press at the Electoral Commission itself, not even outside. So the press is then taken at the waiting area because you cannot really proceed with a room that is full of cameras and all that in a commission meeting. Commission meetings are not open to the press, and the hearings happen during a commission meeting. So perhaps the commission, we could look at it as distinct from some other tribunal where you can have that kind of where it's out there in the public. But the parties have representation. The complainants come in with their lawyers, the petitioners come in with their lawyers, and even the press comes in, captures them, the intros and moments, and exits to allow the meetings to proceed. Yeah.
Mr. Bukenya, I want to thank God for your comeback. Ugandans had really missed your eloquence and rich archive of knowledge about elections. This is Okodel from Serere, who says that they are your follower.
Yes, I'm with the Electoral Commission. I'm still with the Electoral Commission. Thank you, Okodel. Yes.
Yes. Good morning. I'm Herbert Katia from Kasese. I'm inquiring whether local government level petitions are still open to be received as of now.
You know, like we said, and some people get perhaps scared by this, but petitions are part of the electoral process, which is why a petition can arise at any time during the electoral process. And the commission can listen to, attend to a petition at any time during the electoral process. Article 61 says the commission has powers to hear and determine petitions that arise before and during polling, which is why even on polling day, we have a query and complaints desk. So you can bring a petition at any stage of the electoral process. Now, at this time, immediately after nominations, you may say, maybe I was not able to raise a petition. But if something comes up and you want to bring it to the attention of the commission or to raise an objection to the processes, you can raise it at any time during the electoral process to the commission. Now, after elections, that's when you cannot bring a petition to the commission. You go straight to the courts of law. That's why the law says before and during polling.
Right.
So before polling means all this time, campaign, nominations, all these stages that I explained are open to you can raise a petition, which is why a candidate can be, we've seen in the past, and some of us who have been in the electoral process, we've seen in the past where actually a decision is made even after ballot papers have been printed, and then you issue an announcement and say, while we cannot print again because everything was already even on the way, but this candidate has been thrown out of the race. Do not vote for them. Any vote you cast will be invalid, and you put a poster at each polling station. So a petition can be had at any time, can be raised at any time during the electoral process. But of course, the best thing to do is to raise a petition immediately after an activity so that it can be attended to, and then it will be critical to determining what happens during that particular activity. For example, you want to pray to the commission that you are nominated as a candidate because you think it was unfair to be left out, you need to do it immediately after the nomination. But if along the way something comes up, then it is still within your right to raise it. Which is why after election, someone still goes to court and says, Paul's academic documents we are wanting. Now, the person has even sworn in there. They are seated in the local government council or in parliament. And they are heard, and the court rules either to maintain the person or to a by-election, and orders sets aside the result of the election. Yeah.
Interesting. 0709602592 is the WhatsApp number that you should engage and ask your question or share your opinion. Now, the system of lining behind our preferred candidates has raised more problems by way of unending petitions. At this digital age, let us scrap it and adopt nominations by secret ballot. This is Gabriel Olwanga, who shares that opinion. Now, how many candidates so far have been disqualified in the process as it's taking shape?
Although we've made decisions resulting in setting aside nominations, I'm not able to provide that because there is a, first of all, there is a way we also communicate first to the concerned parties.
Right.
But also we are compiling a detailed report on them from local government to parliamentary. That is information that will be shared in due course.
Right.
But the concerned parties where decisions has been made, they've been contacted. They are the first people to be contacted before we even go to any other sources. But yes, there has been rulings setting aside nominations, just as there have been rulings bringing in persons to be nominated, as well as other grounds where which have been presented to the commission. But also to go back to the lining up. Lining up is a mode of election that we use for administrative unit selections, local council, LC1, and we've not done that for now. LC1 elections are not part of the general elections, so we don't have that system. But perhaps he's also talking about the political party primaries, which also use the mode. We don't organize party primaries, but lining up is a mode of election. It's a way of voting. Just like there are many modes of ways of voting, there are systems where voting is by saying yes, raised by voice. There's types where it is by raising a hand and they count the hands. There are those that are secret ballot.
Right.
Then there are those that are by lining up. So the modes of election are many in the world globally. So one that we see here is lining up for administrative unit selections, and in some political parties for their party primaries.
It was observed that some of the right persons, as in officials, who actually would protect the electoral process to be conducted in a transparent manner, were the same people who are corrupted and influenced the electoral malpractices, as was observed during the primaries. To what extent has the electoral tribunal improved on this? The nation is going to have fair and transparent. Is the nation going to have fair and transparent elections? This is James Tumine from Chankwanzi.
James, like I observed earlier, we did not and we do not organize party primaries for parties. But political parties, we have 27 registered political parties. They all have party constitutions. One of the key factors, key requirement is that constitutional party constitutions are in harmony with the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, and the resultant electoral laws. So each political party actually, their constitutions provide for tribunals, which is why, if you recall, you've seen that some political parties immediately after their primaries put their tribunals to hear complaints that arose out of the party primaries. So, like you can see, complaints are present everywhere, and even political parties have mechanisms for addressing complaints that arise within their structures and their programs. So more so even the Electoral Commission, that's how it handles. Mr. Tumwine, I think the name is Tumwine, that is how I would describe it. We don't do that. But again, to come back to that, the people who are supposed to provide, to show integrity, are then compromised or compromise the process. That's why our processes are not above the law, and that's why the activities we do are given a benefit of doubt in law. So the returning officer receives and handles nomination very, very well, ticks off everything, because that's what he or she has received. So by law, you subject it to the public scrutiny that, hey, members of the public, if you think the documents are here, if you have any objection, please feel free to raise it. So that's why our actions and our activities and our decision are still subjected to this other, scrutiny, public scrutiny, and that's why there is opportunity to raise an objection. We are not above the law, certainly we work within the law, and where an officer has not followed the provisions of the law, then their decisions can be challenged, as I've described.
Right. We have not seen the Electoral Commission come out to condemn the violence in Churhura and Budaka. Do they need a petition for this to be handled? This is still Andrew Kaweka posing this question.
We are conducting campaigns, of course, for presidential. We have a liaison committee with all the presidential candidates. And if you've watched the news, if you've seen and followed how these campaigns have been going, as and when an issue emerges, the commission engages the teams, the concerned parties, invites them even for a meeting involving parties, political parties, but also involving stakeholders like the police. You've seen those meetings, we've had them. I think since we did the presidential nominations, we've had about 3 such meetings. So when issues emerge in the campaign trail, the commission attends to them and engages immediately the concerned parties and says, can we have a meeting over this? So can we have a report on this activity? Well, this was observed or reported in the press. Please, have you taken note of it? What happened? What have you done about it? How do we prevent something like this from occurring again? And how do we, address the issues around it? We don't want to see such situations emerging.
All right.
So the commission doesn't sit back, although sometimes you may not see, of course, each and every meeting that takes place. But for purposes of accountability, we've called in press whenever we've had those with candidates' agents and representatives of the Uganda Police Force, who are the lead security agents during the elections. But also Uganda Police has come out, I think, to explain some of the issues that have come up during the electoral process, because they also have a role to play during the electoral process, and they have a responsibility that they have to fulfill. And when an issue comes out that relates to their work, their operation, they've been coming out to talk about incidences in the campaign trail. Yes.
All right. Now, as we begin to close this conversation, is the Commission considering any reforms based on what has transpired with the petitions that the tribunal exercised thus far? Are there any reforms in consideration?
Yeah, reforms. I would still say, like I said, petitions are part of the electoral process. Reforms are part of the electoral process. And right now, there are many voices that are coming up. They're about the things they're seeing in the electoral process. Entire electoral process, of course, including nominations. This is what we've observed. I think we need to strengthen this area. I think this area is weak. It is being used to, or even manipulated. So we've already seen, I think, voices coming out to identify areas that require reform as we go forward in next elections. For now, of course, our activities are done. There are areas that stakeholders still call for reform. They say, how can we organize, how can we ensure that the registration of voters extends for a longer period.
Right.
So that because there's still a good number of persons who have turned 18. So, and of course, we've said that elections started in June when we're doing special interest groups elections, which is why we closed off the register in February, displayed it in April and May, and started using it in June. So basically, that's why we say 2025, 2026 general elections. The elections already started. So that's why the register is closed. But there have been conversations around how can we work on that? Can we do provisional registration? So those are areas for reform. Then, of course, now there are also conversations on nominations. How now can we, given the way complaints or petitions around nominations are coming in, how do they affect the process of nomination? What areas do we have to reform? Now, petitions, and that's the good thing about petitions and court rulings, they help you to identify where a legal provision is weak. Because the people who are petitioning the nominated candidates are within the law, okay? And you can't tell them that, no, I think this is too much. We cannot tolerate your issues. No, they are within the law. So what is it in the law that needs to be looked at by way of reform? And the reforms, of course, come after the elections.
Right. Thank you very much. That's Paul Bukenya. He is the Deputy Spokesperson at the Electoral Commission. And we've been looking at an update on the Electoral Commission Tribunal. This brings us to the end of today's edition of Good Morning Uganda. But of course, Ruben is coming up with the sports, and thereafter, Robert Chirabonyonyintono will be coming through with Good Morning Uganda Extra. For now, be blessed. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
Commissioner General, to invest in taxation. When people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they are supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo clearance protects small traders who cannot afford to import full container loads individually and rely on consolidation to remain competitive. Cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned, or what we have stopped, is the use of container leaders. Now, Fiona, the good news I have for you is that among the new tax proposals,
now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Booza Commissioner.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Ginshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning. Eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Ginshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product. For more information, visit our website www.hgo.com or call 0800 335555.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, my name is Ruben Pima, and of course every Thursday structure the bench, the rugby bench, where I'm joined by the man himself, that is Pearson Makoma, to discuss matters rugby. But of course, before we go into Pearson and matters rugby, I have something to clear away out of the way, which Mike has prepared for me. And of course, yesterday we did see the crowning of Ashraf Hakimi as the African Player of the Year after that tremendous season last season, and of course he was part of that PSG team that won the Champions League after beating Inter Milan. So Ashraf Hakimi was crowned the African Male Player of the Year, and of course the man from Morocco, and PSG deserved it. I mean, who else should have won ahead of him? I didn't see a great season for Mo Salah. The same applies to so many other African players, but so Ashraf Hakimi stands out to be the man who took the crown. And of course, the Moroccans are proud of him after Mustafa Haji, Mustafa or Yusuf Haji, one of the two. One was a brother to the other, but I think it was Mustafa Haji, 1998, when Morocco played in the World Cup. And of course, the AFCON, we did see Mustafa Haji, Yusuf Mustafa. Which one was? My mind is actually letting me down. But I remember one Moroccan who won the Player of the Year. Who was playing at a time, was it at Charlton or one of the teams in England? Won that accolade. But of course, Ashraf Hakimi did also win it. And also Hakim Ziyech might have had a shout somewhere in his playing days when he was actually at the peak of his powers. But anyway, I also had NBA, but I will come back to NBA later. Let me go to my colleague Pearson Makoma to discuss matters rugby. Pearson, yes, good to see you.
Thank you.
How have you been?
Been well. It's been a roller coaster of rugby out there. And yeah, it's been great energies out there. And, great to be here again.
Okay. A lot has happened in the past since Thursday last week, and I know that physically you're fine, health-wise. I can see that you look healthy, thanks to the better half. But how have you been in general?
Of course, being able to catch a few highlights out of Kampala and being able to watch a lot of, you may call them the underdog action across the entire Uganda Cup fixtures, and ensuring that I see the X factor away from what the normal usual teams deliver. But of course, to me at this point, I've been able to understand that a few teams have also picked up from their earlier times of where they didn't know what to do, and also for the fans who never knew what to expect. But of course, it is all growth, and like I said, Ruben, the other time you talked about upcountry teams conceding high points. But of course, to me, who's been able to watch the senior teams and the junior ones, I believe watching the junior ones has been an X factor for me to understand what they are into and why they are faring that way. So it's been my big reason for me to go down, understand how they play and why are they playing that way. And maybe if there's a bit of growth and maybe one X factor to understand about them, it will be that I will be much interested in. And I believe their high points are picked in them.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go straight into, of course, the Lady Cranes are falling for bronze, where they went to represent Uganda.
Yeah, I was here with high spirits. Like I told you, actually, I was in high spirits for both the Uganda Cubs, that's the soccer team, the under 17, who fell in their last 16 qualifier out into looking out for the quarterfinals. But in the same spirit, I had high hopes in the Uganda Lady Cranes, the sevens team that had gone out on the continental fight when it came to the Africa Games down in Nairobi last weekend. But of course, this is a place that
I see the word asante sana.
Yeah,
asante sana is thank you.
Of course, it's appreciating that at least in the tournament, out of the 12 teams, they walked away with something. And that was bronze, walking out as a third team in the tournament.
So the asante sana means bronze? That is Swahili.
Of course, it's appreciating, and appreciating comes back with something taken home. So they've taken home bronze. It's consecutively actually happening in Uganda for the last 4 years. They've been able to take bronze at the Africa continent, except for the 2023, where they won gold for the All Africa Games. So I believed that team there that you're seeing in there were so much in high spirits for winning that crown for the first time. But however, fell short to Kenya in the last minutes of the game. 17-10 it was the score in there, with one try differentiating the tie in there, and falling short in that order made us go for the third playoff game with Madagascar, where we won it comfortably. But I believe Madagascar will play them over in the same spot, same qualifiers, and we've fallen short a couple of times to Kenya. And having beaten Kenya in Safari Sevens of last year, and of course falling to them in the other 1 month ago, I believe it was the right time for us to understand how we would host them and ensure that we go play that final with South Africa. But however, it's the only time we can talk about them being big ahead of us, especially when you had the experiences in and bring back the expertise of the former captain, that is Peace Lekuru. But I didn't believe we would fall to the third position. At least I believed we would at least play the finals and of course come back with silver or gold. But this doesn't make us fall back to fail to return back to our winning times. And I believe so, if next year we're on, we'll be able to fight back for gold.
Okay, I'll come back, the rugby Cranes.
And of course, Lydia Namabiro, the vice captain, coming as a top try scorer with 7 tries, tying with the South African and the Zambian player. So Lydia Namabiro, like you can see there, great kudos to her, and actually the Kenyan player, and then the Zambian player. So in this context, you believe that the experience we have on the continent, it's something we have to push on as we fight for more, as we also look forward to World Cup qualifier games.
Well, away from the Cranes scooping bronze in Nairobi, into all age grade teams progressing well in the camp. I know you have been following these age groups, and of course you know who is having who.
Yes, following the appointments of age grade coaches, that is for the under-20s and the under-17s, both for male and female, Uganda has a lot in stock. Looking at the previous campaigns of Rugby African World Cup qualifiers, where we fell short, not even making it to the semi-finals. We believe this is a campaign that the Uganda Rugby Union has to intentionally put all their energies to ensuring that the young lads in camp are those we should count on for the next 10 years project. And Coach Brian Makalama, in his setup of the under-20s who are moving to Abu Dhabi just next month in the schools festival in camp already, is a team that will be out for the first test trial match this weekend at Nambole at 2 p.m. And I believe what they have in stock for the under-20s and the under-17s with Coach Sky, that is at Chadondo. We believe in preparation with the under-20s, under-17s for both boys and girls. It's one of those that the government will also look at ensuring they are in good moods to bring back the qualifier moods into Uganda, winning it and also coming back to win in the future times. And in the future times, this means that Uganda will have no reason as to why they won't understudy the reasons why they've been falling short in these journeys. Because we're talking about the Lady Cranes. All this comes into preparational moments. We're talking about the South Africans who are winning back-to-back. It's been generational preparations. So when Uganda does this early, I believe there's a lot to count on to them and the coaches who understand these players early in time. That is a picture for the under-20s down in...
but they look 30.
Well, of course, that is injustice.
How can such bodies be? If you ask my colleague here, one of my boys, Kasumil Nsamba, he will tell you that, Papa, these people are above 30, the body, the size, the height.
Actually, Uganda has been able to field...
Are they above 30?
Uganda has been able to field the youngest players on the continent.
Okay.
And of course, we remember that Uganda was actually penalized in the tournament of 2013 down in Tunisia for taking underaged, below 18 even. And we were fined for that, but of course, as a huge price
Was
for
it
that.
below or above 18?
We were 2 below. Because the late Robert Seguya believed that he had to nurture the young players early in time so that he can have a team to count on in the next 10 years.
Okay.
And I believe the team he took was young, but again, he rose to fame with that team, having qualified back Uganda from a 1B series to 1A series. And of course, making that team play up to now, even when he's late, the players he groomed all the way from 2013 are one of those we are counting on for the Uganda Rugby Sevens. And
10 years later.
15, yes. So this is the same trick we moved years back, and I believe we have to return back to the same semantics to ensure that when we grow these athletes young, we'll be able to ensure that we count on them for the next decade and so, for us to ensure that we will bring back the times that the fans used to fill those stands, to ensure we bring them back again.
Okay.
So the Uganda Lady Cranes and the Uganda Rugby Cranes need the young energies to ensure they return back to their fold where they've been. So Uganda has been having the smaller sizes, the young boys, but of course I believe the early ages and the early times are where we need to go first. Then we can be able to bring us steady fourth progress when it comes to the production of the national team. Like you can talk about the Uganda Cubs in soccer, you're seeing them play at the World Cup.
Yes.
Zimbabwe qualified for the World Cup just this year in Nambole. And with the team they've had has been qualifying and actually has been playing for the Under-20 World Cup back to back. So it wasn't a mistake for them qualifying the bigger team for those that have been on the bigger stage earlier at an early stage. So if Uganda has got to do this early, we believe these players at an early stage will be able to understand what it means when they go for international encounters.
The long-awaited Titans tour to Uganda is on this weekend in Nambole Stadium. The tour might be a bit interesting, if you ask me.
Yes.
And I know you know that you and other colleagues will be in Nambole for the tour.
Yes. Not only me, actually, this is a big boost by the Ministry of Education and Sports. So actually, this game was meant to be...
I can see the arrivals on the screen.
Yeah,
who arrived and who didn't arrive?
This team all the way from UK, England, last night touched down in Uganda, and those are the arrival pictures in less than the 12 hours back when they arrived at Entebbe International Airport. That is for the both male and female team which came in last night, and they'll be playing over this Saturday at Nambole Stadium. And of course, this game was postponed, or rather shifted from Chambogo grounds, the new training CAF grounds that was at Chambogo, but of course due to preparational stages it's late to be continued with final touches, and then of course the match had to shift to Nambole where the Rugby Cranes have been hosting the Rugby Africa games and World Cup qualifier games, which has been intact and really so ready for action. So there will be action in there from 2 p.m. This weekend with the under-20s having a trial match for the coaches to do the selection easily and also see who are the better matchups at 2 p.m. at Nambole. And of course at 4 p.m. the Uganda Vets or the Uganda X-Men play the Tritons X-Men, who were here in the first time last year, and of course Uganda Men, who you're seeing there, beat them last year, and of course they come in this time around to seek revenge. And of course now this time around they come with their sisters, who are their former their sisters in UK, former ex-players in the English national team, and those who played in the counties of England, coming in this time round to have an X-Men game and X-Women's game. So this time round we are fronting the ladies' action, and of course
you say we are fronting, you the who?
We as Uganda.
Okay.
Because in this space,
brother would love to know. Say we, not include the brother at all here. Well,
but of course, when I talk about we, I always front the black, yellow, red colors.
Okay.
So I've always been Uganda, and I always believe that for the ladies who have not been given the bigger stage, this time round their game has been the flagging game, which will be played later from the late evening hours from 6 into the floodlight hours.
I see tourism. And of course the chimpanzee behind the team. What does it mean for Uganda? Is it a tourism tour, or it's something? It's a rugby tournament. We need to understand as Uganda.
Talking about the Tritons tour, they come to tour, and not only does it come around to only sweating on the pitch, it comes with rubbing shoulders and of course crossing into discussions, matters of business and partnerships that might be able to push Uganda forward, and which might be fruitful in the quest for Uganda to have partnerships cross-border and cross-continent. Continental. So I believe in this very visit of the Tritons tour to Uganda, not only will it spark a relationship business-wise, but also it will be able to trigger discussions for future rugby growth from the age grade circles, and also development for the country, and ensuring that Uganda and UK, their relations in terms of rugby, gear up for what we need to plan for the Uganda team ahead.
Okay, Pearson, time might not be our best ally, if you ask me, but of course we have the quarter-final draws that will be commencing this weekend.
Yes.
And of course tomorrow at 4:30 at Legends Rugby Grounds, there will be a game between the Cobs and the Rhinos. Then of course on Friday again at 4:30 at Kings Park. I know you will be at Kings Park for this game. I'm very sure. The Pirates second Makere Impies, and then on Sunday, for me, I'll catch the game on Sunday. The Heathens against the Rams at Chadondo. Then of course Sunday as well at 4:30 p.m. at the Robert Seguya Cup. The Hippos will take on the Buffaloes. What a game of rugby.
Talking about
in just under a minute, Pearson.
Talking about the Robert Seguya Cup, which will be happening in Jinja. That one is a big one.
Okay.
Not anyone is assured of that win. You will have to sweat it hard and ensure that you come in bloody to ensure you take in the results. So the Robert Seguya Cup is one of those big derbies, especially for those teams that have always played together. That is Hippos and the Buffaloes. The Buffaloes have been straightforward, that they've shown the intent right away from the sevens up to now. I believe this is one game I wouldn't wish to give a prediction. And without any gesture, I believe it's going to be one of the hard ones for the both teams, that is the Hippos and the Buffaloes. And if you're to give me a space for betting, I don't think I will be able to throw in my bet. So I'll be neutral at that one. So when it comes to the early kickoff games, that will be a Friday encounter. That will be the Cobs against the Rhinos at the Legends Affair. That's a horny one at Legends on Friday 4:30. I believe I'll be catching that one physically, but I believe the Rhinos will not be able to edge the Cobs, especially the Cobs, who believe this is their rival team at home, who they share the same home ground. And of course the Cobs believe the Uganda Cup has always been their traditional trophy they always have to count on. So the Cobs have all it takes to host the Rhinos, with the experiences of their national team players coming in the fold, having missed the preliminary stage games. And of course the Heathens play the Rams. Remember, the Rams and the Heathens played the 2023 Rugby Uganda Cup finals at Kings Park, and I wouldn't wish to underrate the Rams. They can host you at any other time, because they were able to move this journey from the first game from the previous campaign, and this time around they come with great synergies. However, the Rams actually are in the morning moments. This evening they bury a parent, one of their players, that is Fonto, in that is Chisoro this evening. And we believe in the grieving moments they are in, we hope they can be able to give back this game for this player who lost their parent, and are hoping that they can host the Heathens, which is not one of the easiest, with the Heathens of course playing at home on a Sunday with the comfort of their players from the national team rejoining back their team. And I believe the Pirates playing the Impies will also be another one at KPA on Friday, and the Pirates won't do any disservice to themselves by winning it at home soil.
Okay, and of course every Thursday is Rugby Bench, and the expert is actually Pearson Makoma, who comes to studio and give us that is it in-depth analysis of rugby, or you can term it into, you saw your English is not my English. You are the Generation Z.
Well, not that in-depth, but of course a little bit. Try call it a glimpse, a blitz as well, just a polish up of it. Maybe if we were to talk about an in-depth of it, we'll be able to dissect more of those.
Okay.
Have that time across when the league is done, and we technically dive into those reasons why rugby is here and rugby is somewhere, and also why I believe we need to be given that audience at the national stage to ensure that rugby traverses beyond where we see them.
Okay, thanks so much, Pearson, for making time to come and discuss matters rugby with us. And of course, the games will be on. And the statement here, statement on the use of ineligible players by, it was, okay, in a minute, let's go to this statement, Pearson. What does this mean to the rugby union, and what does it mean to the team that they're writing to?
The Eagles are the team that had qualified non-beaten or unbeaten, who are the sister team of Rams. And of course, this statement comes in as a penalty for using players that were not fully signed, and percentage of the regulations of the signing and exchange program when it comes to players switching clubs. It's a process that the Rams never went through fully, and I believe at this moment is the reason why the Eagles are being penalized. So these games have been given away, and the Eagles who had won them earlier, they forfeit these games, and forfeiting them means that the Eagles won't be able to progress to the semi-finals. So the Eagles bow out by law, failing to abide by the regulations of qualification, rather of abiding to the rules of consenting to full rules of signing players. So they used players from a team called Kitgum Queens, only from the north, and full compliance wasn't made. And a full document from the Uganda Rugby Union means that the teams that queried the players who had moved to Eagles without fully being signed means they forfeit their results, meaning the Eagles who had won their games, all the three, making it to the semi-finals, they will be losing their slot and giving it out, and all the points will be given to those.
The union should have been considerate for the fixtures. We cannot. Anyway, that's the rules. The rules are always applied in rugby, and you cannot fault union for coming up strong on that. And we've got to go. A person. Any final remarks?
My final remarks are to call on everyone to come and support rugby. There's action on Friday at Legends and Kings Park in Boyogere, and then there's action in Nambole Stadium for the English tour. That is the Tritons rugby team. That's for the men and women, ex-men or service men who have played for rugby, both Uganda and UK, who will be playing at Nambole all the way from 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m. until 2 p.m. in the night. So there's great action from Saturday up to Sunday actually, and also Friday. So I call on everyone to come support rugby, throw in your colors and support that hard team you believe in.
Okay, there's a message here from retired Major David Chividangu, who tells me that he's watching from Mukono. David, how are you? Of course, the program is on this weekend. Let's try to keep our fingers crossed. I'm pretty sure that you are very ready to execute whatever assignment that you have on table. So just pray hard that we meet this weekend and resolve whatever is left for us to resolve. But anyway, we've got to go. Up next is GMU Extra. Robert Chirabo is waiting in the wings. Oh, that is sports language, or in the stands, sports language. But of course, if you speak our language here, he's actually coming on to take you through matters GMU Extra. But tomorrow is a special Friday. Julia and the team will be here to give you that feel of the weekend, a bit of entertainment, that touch of entertainment, or infotainment, if you ask me. So you don't have to miss out. And of course, in Mukono, I've been told that there's blackout. This year is trying to work around the clock to rectify the problem. But of course, we shall be hosting the Minister of Energy team to come and expound more on what happened on the blackout in Mukono, where the vandalizers of electric wires have actually returned, and we need government and the ministry to put stringent measures to make sure that this problem is dealt with. Otherwise, there will be a lot of blackouts in the country if we don't deal with those who vandalize electric wires in exchange for money. Let's be patriotic, let's have our country, let's not destroy what has been put in place. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the womb, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, may don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN.